The ratings are in for this past Friday's edition of AEW Rampage on TNT, and its record low viewership and ratings for AEW's Friday show. The New Day will have a special episode of Monday Night Raw dedicated to them on the 10-year anniversary of the factions forming. Karl Anderson undergoes surgery and says he'll be back after WrestleMania next year. Damian Priest becomes the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. Io Sky becomes the number one contenders for the Women's World title. The Women's Tag Team Championships could be on the line, with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill challenging Liv Morgan as well as Raquel Rodriguez. Could Sami Zayn be about to reunite with the original bloodline? We have the ratings for Friday's edition of SmackDown on USA Network. The Wyatt Six have abducted The Miz. Ava is set to make a big announcement on NXT's upcoming episode from the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, and WWE's going international next year for the road to WrestleMania. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Apologies for a lack of content over the last few days. There's been quite a bit going on. However, we're now back and we'll be having regular content as per usual. Let's get straight into the stories, beginning with the ratings for Friday's edition of AEW Rampage on TNT. The Friday, November 1st episode of AEW Rampage averaged 172,000 viewers on TNT, which is down over 28% from the previous week. It's the lowest audience total in Rampage's history and is the second lowest viewership for any first-run AEW show in history, beating only the September 6th episode of AEW Collision that went head-to-head with the final SmackDown on Fox. Rampage drew a 0.05 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. That's down over 44% from last week and is also a record low for the show. It ties the September 6th AEW Collision for the lowest 18-49 rating in the history for a first-run AEW broadcast. Now, competition was actually lighter than in recent weeks, with the World Series having concluded. Rampage did go against NBA basketball on ESPN and college football on Fox. As compared to the same week in 2023, Rampage's overall audience was down 32%, while its 18-49 rating was down over 30%. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now, the New Day, they have been around for close to 10 years, and they're going to be getting a special episode of Monday Night Raw to celebrate their anniversary. Now, the New Day is going through a crisis of sorts, with Big E sidelined due to injury, and Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods not on the same page. But the trio will have something to celebrate soon, as WWE will celebrate their 10-year anniversary with a special edition of Raw. In a video posted to WWE's YouTube channel, Kingston was seen speaking to Adam Pearce after this week's Raw, where the New Day star was asked by Pearce about the whereabouts of Woods. The former WWE champion had no clue where his tag team partner was. Pearce then informed Kofi that WWE has plans to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the New Day's debut on WWE television. Quote, "I wanted to talk to both of you, but this year, 10 years as New Day, it's time to celebrate, man. You guys are one of the most decorated tag teams in WWE history. Because of that, if it's cool with you guys, I actually wanted to dedicate a special episode of Raw to celebrating you," said Pearce. Now, Kofi was surprised that the New Day would be celebrated for an entire episode, which he thought was a great idea. Pearce then asked that the celebrations would go ahead if the New Day gave him the approval, to which Kofi asked why they wouldn't agree to it. Quote, "I know it looks like the New Day is going through a bit of a rough patch, but I feel like when this anniversary comes around, everything is going to be all right," said Kingston. Now, WWE hasn't yet announced which Raw will be dedicated to the group, but it could be assumed that the November 25th edition of Raw could be the one, as the trio made their in-ring debut on the November 28th, 2014 edition of SmackDown. Some injury news here when it comes to Karl Anderson, who's going to be out until after WrestleMania 41 next year. WWE superstar Karl Anderson has announced he has undergone surgery and that he will only return to action next year, sometime after WrestleMania. The former Raw Tag Team Champion made the announcement in a recent post on his Instagram profile, where he was seen with his left hand in a sling and his shoulder taped up. He revealed that he had undergone surgery at the hands of Dr. Jeffrey Dugas in Birmingham, Alabama. Quote, "Thanks to Dr. Dugas in Birmingham, Alabama for fixing me. See you after WrestleMania." the WWE Tag Team star, also discussed that he would be providing some more information on his injury on his Talk & Shop podcast later this week. The timeline outlined by Anderson suggests that he'll be out for around 6 months or more, as next year's WrestleMania will take place in April. Now, the OC has had bad luck with injuries lately, as AJ Styles has been sidelined due to 2 different injuries, while Anderson's tag team partner Luke Gallows was also on the sidelines for a brief period last year. Anderson, who returned to WWE in 2022 alongside his partner Gallows, last wrestled a dark match in October at a WWE NXT show. He and Gallows wrestled the duo of Hank and Tank before the October 1st edition of NXT. Anderson and Gallows have predominantly featured on the developmental brand this year, with their last main roster match coming on SmackDown back in September, where they were part of a number 1 contenders gauntlet match on the July 26th edition of the Blue brand. Now, Damian Priest, he's the number 1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship after winning last night on Raw. While it took a wild fatal 4-way on Raw that saw big Bronson Reed interfere, run roughshod over 3 of the match's competitors, former World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest is now the new number 1 contender and will face Gunther in a rematch at a date yet to be determined. Dirty Dominic Mysterio was lying in wait outside the ring during the match during much of Reed's attack and looked to be in prime position to steal a win, but Priest caught him with a South of Heaven chokeslam and scored the pinfall on his former Judgment Day stablemate. With Seth freaking Rollins fresh off a victory in a physical battle with Reed at Crown Jewel, taking control late in the match, Reed appeared on the outside, smashing Priest and Sheamus before ultimately getting his hands on Rollins and hitting all of Sheamus, Priest and Rollins with tsunamis. Reed hitting his signature move on Rollins came with excessive violence, with the 340-plus pounder leaping off the barricade and sending a prone Rollins through the announce table, leaving him writhing in pain. Michael Khan, Corey Graves had the scene set for this early on, stating there was no way Rollins could be 100% after Crown Jewel, with Graves saying he couldn't even walk upright when he saw him after the event. For Priest, whose run as World Heavyweight Champion lasted a respectable 118 days, a return bout against Gunther will mark his first shot at the title since losing it to the Ring General at SummerSlam back in August. Now, it wasn't the only number 1 contender crowned last night. Io Sky is the new number 1 contender for Liv Morgan's Women's World Championship after walking away from a battle royal in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, victorious on Raw. Sky defeated the likes of Maxine, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Zelina Vega, Shayna Baszler, Natalya, Isla Dawn, Ivy Nile, Kaden Carter, Lyra Valkyria, and more. General Manager Adam Pearce made the match official following Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and Dirty Dominic Mysterio's confrontation with the Women's Tag Team Champions that resulted in Belair slapping Morgan. Sky, Cargill, Belair, and Valkyria were the last 4 in the ring. Cargill and Belair went face to face in the middle of the ring, but before they could come to blows, Valkyria and Sky got involved. Cargill and Belair delivered a Jaded and KOD at the same time and attempted to throw out their opponents, but Rodriguez got involved and pulled Belair's braid and eliminated the tag team champions when Cargill came to her aid. With Valkyria and Sky left in the ring, Sky took Valkyria over the top rope and both women battled on the ring apron. Sky hit Valkyria with a strong right hand followed by a German suplex and eliminated her opponent to score the victory. Now, as a result of what happened there, looks like we're going to be getting a Women's Tag Team Championship match in the future. Women's Tag Team Champions Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill have challenged those dastardly Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez to a match. Now, this week on Raw, as I mentioned, saw this number 1 contenders battle royal where the winner would get the shot at Liv Morgan's Women's World Championship. Because of the interference, it's led to Belair and Cargill being pretty incensed by the actions of Morgan and Rodriguez. They offered the duo a shot at their titles on next week's Raw. Now, Belair promised that she and her tag team partner would walk out of next week's show with the titles around their waist, just like they did at Crown Jewel, where they defeated teams of Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, Io Sky and Kairi Sane, and Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend. The duo has successfully defended their titles on 4 occasions since regaining the championships at Bash in Berlin in August. Rodriguez and Morgan, though, have previously held the Women's Tag Team Championships, holding them on 2 occasions, both of which came back in 2023. Now, the Bloodline storyline continues, and now Sami Zayn could be about to reunite with the OG version of the faction. On last night's Raw from Riyadh, there were further developments in the Bloodline story after Crown Jewel saw the return of Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn made an appearance in an in-ring segment on last night's Raw. Of course, it was actually taped on Sunday to address his actions from Crown Jewel. Of course, the opening match at the PLE saw Solo Sikoa pin Roman Reigns clean as the New Bloodline scored a victory over Reigns and the Usos. However, after the match, Sikoa and his group attempted to continue with a post-match attack. Running out to make the save was Sami Zayn, and at one point Sikoa was stuck in the middle of the ring, surrounded in each corner by Zayn, both Usos and Reigns. The reunion was short-lived though, as an inadvertent haluva kick meant for Solo Sikoa instead hit Roman Reigns, and things devolved from there, with Jimmy Uso in particular mad at Sami. Last night on Raw, Zayn came to the ring but was quickly interrupted by Jey Uso, who was then interrupted by Jimmy Uso, with the twin brothers on opposite sides of their previous Zayn argument positions. With Jey now believing in Sami, while Jimmy is the one who is skeptical of Zayn's intentions, Sami retorted that he had already proved his loyalty, recalling that he had literally already been put on trial by their family and he didn't have anything else to prove. Before Zayn could leave up the ramp, Jey stopped him and asked him for him to come to SmackDown this week so that all four of them, including Roman Reigns, could talk. While Jey would call Sami family and Jimmy would object, by the end of the segment, Jey had officially resurrected the Sami Uso nickname. Now let's talk about the ratings for Friday's edition of SmackDown. Of course, this was taped a couple of weeks ago, heading into Crown Jewel this past weekend. The pre-taped episode of SmackDown before Crown Jewel had a similar overall viewership and ratings to the prior week. As per WrestleNomics, the November 1st edition of SmackDown drew an average of 1.428 million overall viewers, a 1% gain from the previous week. But the 18-49 demographic ratings dropped by 0.1, securing a rating of a 0.42 compared to the 0.43 of the October 25th SmackDown. Both the overall average viewership and key demographic ratings for last week's show witnessed a decline in the trailing 4-week average, with the former falling by 4% and the latter by 7%. Despite the fall in ratings, the show was number 2 on primetime for the night in the key demographic ratings, behind the NBA game between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets, which secured a rating of a 0.47. In terms of the quarter-hour ratings, these come courtesy of WrestleNomics, so shout out to them and be sure to subscribe to their Patreon service. Last week's SmackDown began slowly as the first quarter-hour drew viewership of 1.34 million. The show peaked an hour later during the Roman Reigns and Usos live promo and the backstage segment featuring the Motor City Machine Guns and A-Town Down Under, with the 9 p.m. quarter-hour drawing 1.58 million viewers. The last quarter-hour of the show, which featured a segment involving the likes of Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens and Gunther, drew 1.48 million viewers to close out the show. Of course, as mentioned, the show was pre-taped at the Barclays Center in New York on October 25th, as the WWE stars had to fly out to the other side of the world to Saudi Arabia for the Crown Jewel show. This past week's Raw was also pre-taped after the aforementioned premium live event. This coming week's SmackDown, though, will air from the KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York. Now, the Wyatt Six, they have abducted former WWE champion The Miz. The Wyatt Six was shown to have abducted The Miz in a cryptic vignette during Raw. The footage started with a flashback to Bo Dallas's days tagging with Curtis Axel as the B-Team, specifically when The Miz brought them into his Miztourage and promised stardom to make their families proud. Some fans will remember that neither Dallas nor Axel found much success with The Miz before their eventual releases from the promotion. The Miz was then showed tied to a chair wearing a mask, which was removed to reveal duct tape across his mouth. With the tape removed, Miz immediately pleaded with his captor in Dallas, trying to communicate that there had been a misunderstanding and he wasn't even really a part of Karrion Kross's Final Testament stable, believing it to be Kross that Dallas and the Six were truly after. Dallas clarified that it was The Miz he wanted, not Kross, and said the former WWE champion would be cursed and burdened with the pain he had cast upon others through the years. The segment then ended with Dexter Lumis approaching The Miz from behind and wrapping his arms around his head. Monday's segment followed an X-post from the Wyatt Six teasing its issues with The Miz, quote, "We will make him understand." Now, tomorrow we're going to be seeing NXT and AEW Dynamite go head-to-head. With NXT, of course, they're going to be in the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the former ECW Arena. And after some time back in the WWE Performance Center, NXT is back on the road, heading to Philadelphia for a night in the famous 2300 Arena, also known as the ECW Arena. Not only will the show have a special location, it will take place on a special night, going head-to-head with AEW Dynamite on Wednesday, November 6th. And now it will feature a special announcement from the general manager. According to NXT's official X account, general manager Ava will be making an announcement on the show. There are no details as to what the special announcement could be pertaining, though it's been speculated it could have something to do with the brand's traditional December premium live event deadline, which still hasn't officially been announced. NXT will likely try to have much happening on the show as possible to help bolster ratings in the head-to-head contest with Dynamite. Last time AEW and NXT aired on the same night was the Title Tuesday edition of Dynamite, which saw the AEW show do historic lows due to being moved to a different night and time slot. This time, NXT will have the disadvantage of airing at an unusual time. NXT has been bumped from its usual Tuesday night slot due to the CW's coverage of the 2024 United States election. Now, a cavalcade of ECW legends are set for the show. Dawn Marie will play special guest referee. WWE Hall of Famer Bubba Ray Dudley will team with NXT champion Trick Williams to battle Rich Holland and Ethan Page. Former ECW World Television champion Rob Van Dam will play an unknown role in the ongoing feud between Wesley and Javon Evans as well. And finally, WWE is going international next year on the road to WrestleMania. Over the past few years, WWE has begun to stretch out a bit internationally, especially when it comes to premium live events. In 2024 alone, WWE has held Elimination Chamber in Australia, Backlash in France, Clash at the Castle in Scotland, Money in the Bank in Toronto, Bash in Berlin in Germany, King and Queen of the Ring and Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, in addition to their usual overseas tours. Now, for early 2025, WWE is looking to give their road to WrestleMania a bit of an international flavour as well. On Monday morning, WWE announced an unprecedented tour of the UK and Europe next March, leading up to WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. The 11-city tour will see WWE make stops in Barcelona, Spain, Dortmund, Germany, Hanover, Germany, Brussels, Belgium, Bologna, Italy, Belfast, Northern Ireland, Nottingham, England, Glasgow, Scotland, Vienna, Austria, Amsterdam, Netherlands, and London, England. Of the 11 dates, 6 will be television tapings, with Brussels, Glasgow, and London hosting Raw, while Barcelona, Bologna, and London will host SmackDown. While WWE holds tours in the UK, Europe, and other international territories during the year, the tours are generally scheduled for later in the spring and the fall. As such, this will be the first international tour to take place during the road to WrestleMania, as well as the first where WWE would tape TV in international markets during such a period. While the tour would effectively base WWE in Europe throughout March, it would not encompass the full road to WrestleMania, as WWE will still presumably run 2 weeks of shows in the US heading into WrestleMania 41 on April 19 and 20. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.